welcome back to another Pro School episode. Today, I'm very excited to go over a major feature launch. This is part of what's been slowing us down from feature launches is really focusing on this one. So really glad to have it done. But I'm very excited to share it. And there's two parts to this feature launch. One part is that we've launched the new version of the EagleView integration, which I'm actually going to get to that last because in order for this EagleView integration to work, we had to completely rework how the measure tab works inside of ProLine. And so I want to go through that to start and go over everything that's changed there. ProLine has, in the past, has always been essentially a single structure quote. So even if you did have multiple structures on a property, like a detached garage and a home, and you wanted to quote both, you would just have to combine that into a single quote. But with the new multi-structure tools, you are actually able to individually quote each structure on a single quote without having to combine those measurements in any way. So you can keep everything separate. And so I'm just going to start by going over this page and kind of walking through what everything does. So on this measure page, when you first come in here, there's going to be nothing here. So you will need to create a new report. So that is one little extra step if you are adding in numbers from a different platform and not syncing them in from EagleView, which is the integration we just launched. But for example, I could put in here just new measurements. And then once I've created my report, I can then add any number of structures to this report. So I can plug in those numbers manually if I wanted to, and just plug in everything as we go. Whatever my waste factor is, I'm just typing in threes here. So we could do this for sure. And then I can add a second structure here and add in this as well. Now, if I were to order through EagleView, which I can do here, clicking this button, then I am actually able to give this this is getting confused because the address on here is incorrect, I believe. There we go. Okay, there we go. So you can order this EagleView report through here, and then the result of that report will get synced back into the resulting report, or you can just add measurements manually as we've had it in the past. But the main difference here is this ability now to have any number of structures. Now, in addition to this, we previously had a restriction where you could only have up to 75 total measurement fields. That has now been removed. You can actually have any number of measurement fields here on each structure, and that's controlled in your company settings under projects. Then we go to measurements. You can add any number of different measurements here. You can also change the order of how those measurements appear in your structures. So you have complete control there. You don't have to like move stuff between different labels or anything like that, like we had it before. So this adds essentially unlimited possibilities on what kind of measurements you want to keep track of inside of your measurement reports. Then additionally, with sub-calculations, previously this was limited to 5, you can now have any number of sub-calculations. And sub-calculations are these areas here down at the bottom of each structure. And these are calculations being done on the measurements as the base measurements. And then you can reference both these sub-calculations and these main measurements when you're building calculation formulas for price items for your quotes. So if we go into quotes and then price list, we can click here, and then we have access to all of those things here, all of the different, both the measurements and the sub-calculation tokens can be added here in the formulas. All right. So that goes over the changes here. Um, and then let's go to quoting. So we have made a pretty substantial change, and I'm going to show this on the quote templates first to show what it looks like. So on the quote templates, actually, let me just go ahead and just show the end result here, and then I'll go back and do that. I'm going to delete these extra reports. So we have a report here. We have a single structure. We're going to add a second structure. And so we can rename these if we want to. So we can say main home, and then we'll put garage. We can call these whatever we want. So we'll just plug in some numbers here. That's a really big garage. All right. So now we have our two structures here on the measurement reports. We're going to go into quotes. We're going to go to new quote, and we'll see that there's a new little box here called structures. And I'm going to choose from the drop down. I'm going to choose my template just like normal, but then I do have the ability to add or remove additional structures. So if I had multiple reports, maybe I got I did kind of like a hand report, but then I ordered an EagleView report later. I can choose which of those structures actually is being used for quoting. So I can pick and choose even between different reports. But by default, ProLine is going to plug in the most recent reports structures. So whatever the last report you put in, that's what this is going to default to. So we already have these selected. So I'm just going to hit create. And we have a nice little loader animation now that we didn't have before. And what you'll see is instead of having option and upgrade pages, you can still have option and upgrade pages if you wanted to have those in your main quote. But instead of having those, at least for this setup, for this quote template, we just see two different structures here. We see the structure for main home and we see the structure for garage. And if I click into the main home structure, I can see here that not only do I have I actually have, well, I'll get to the line items up here in a second. What I have is these structure subpages, which I have my options, good, better, and best. I have, and you don't have to include this. You could have this outside the structure if you wanted to, but if you want to have to separate the inspection images or have a gallery for each structure, you can do that. So I have this structure here or this gallery here for the inspection for just this structure. And then I also have upgrades again, just for this structure. And all of these calculations for the line items are being pulled from only that first main home structure and not from the garage structure. And then, so I have the ability, I can reorder these if I want to, just like these were at the top level. I have all the same controls, but something else really cool about these structures is that instead of having to duplicate my entire list of line items for each one of these good, better, best options, if I click into this good option here, we'll see that I only have a few line items here. I have really just the most unique items that might change between these different options because I have different tiers of Atlas shingles in this case. And then I have all my common line items that are the same across all of these different options. I have all of them listed underneath the structure. And down here at the bottom, you'll see that there is a structures line item line here. And that actually totals up the whole value of the base structure line items and adds it to each option. So this makes it way easier to manage what each one of your options is because you're not having to duplicate those line items across all three. And so if you want to make a change to the base build out of your roof system or whatever else is you're quoting, you can do that up here and it will apply automatically to all three options. Really important note here is that this does not hold true to the upgrades. The upgrades are still completely independent of the structured line items, and this is spelled out here. And the reason for that is the upgrades are something additional on top. So these structural line items are only going to apply to the options and not the different upgrades that are inside of a single structure. So those are still independent. You'll see there's no line item there for the structure line items like we see here. Now, if we go down to garage, we'll see that the exact same thing is true here, but it's used all the measurements from the garage structure. So we have we have a good, better, best option, we have a gallery, and we have upgrades that are only for the garage. And we'll generate this quote here in a second, and I'll show you what this looks like on the quote side and on the signing side, which is really cool. But I do want to kind of show here something pretty cool, which is that, what if you don't want to use the structure? Maybe you have structures in your quote template, but then when you're generating a quote, you want to just have an options and upgrades at the top level, like we have done in the past. And that's totally fine. First of all, you can just set your quote template up that way if you want it that way. But also on the fly, you can actually just grab these options and just drag it out. And so now, boom, that's now a top level option, just like it normally would be. Does not live inside of a structure. It's still going to inherit the same structure measurements, but it now lives outside. And you'll see that this no longer inherits the parent structures line items. So that is one caveat. If you are going to sort of switch that on the fly, then you'll need to re-add some of those line items. So that pretty much covers that. This is also true of the line items inside of each page. So if I want to maybe take hip and ridge and I want to make that a structure line item instead of being a line item under that page, I can just drag it. So everything is drag and drop at every level. And so you have full control over taking things in and out of structures as desired. All righty. I'm going to generate this and we're going to go over signing and PDFs. And then I do see that there's a question. So I'm going to address that once I kind of finish going over what this looks like on the PDFs and signing area. So we will let this generate. I see it says Huffy's phone. I'm not sure who that is, but I do see your question and we will address that here shortly. So this is now the quote. What you will see is that there isn't actually there is not a structure page. So that's one sort of important thing to note. We are going to be making some changes. This is still somewhat of a work in progress. So one of the changes that we are going to be making is making sure it's clear which option page goes with which structure. That's something that's not very clear right now because it just says good. And this is for the main home, but it should say main home up here somewhere. And so we're going to get that added here shortly. But we have our main home options, good, better, best options. We have the main home inspection, and then we have also, I think this is, and then this is for the garage. Yeah, so we're seeing the same thing for the garage, and then the upgrades have been hidden. So here on the signature page, we can see what this looks like. We have two different top level checkboxes, one for the main home and one for the garage. And then it says, please choose one if selected. And then you'll have the options below that to choose from, the good, better, best options. And then you'll have upgrades as well. So that's how it breaks down on the signature page. And it's very similar if we go to sign the quote. So we have this top level selection. So this is and this is something else that we're open to feedback on. As of right now, the way these multi-structure quotes get sent is the person signing the quote will always be able to choose how many of the structures they actually want to proceed with. And our opinion at the moment is that this gives all of our users a massive advantage, because if they're sending a quote to a homeowner and then there's 3 other contractors sending a quote and they're the only quote that allows the homeowner to pick whether or not they want to go with both the garage and the main home, or just the main home, or just the garage. Then if that homeowner decides, oh, you know what, I can't afford to do the whole job right now, I need to just pick one, which one are they most likely going to go with? They're going to go with the quote that allowed them to pick and choose between their structures. So that's the way it's set up right now. It is optional. So they could go and just sign for the garage, or they could select and just sign for the main home. If they do pick main home, they are then forced to pick one of these options, good, better, or best, and then also the upgrades that go with it. So they have to pick all that, and then they can sign and proceed from there. And so I can select that, and you'll see that the quote summary works. As I select stuff and unselect stuff, it'll all adjust accordingly. All right, so let me get into these questions because that pretty much covers everything. So I'll get into these questions and we'll cover these. All right, so will the price listed formulas, this might show on the screen if I do that. Okay, will the price listed formulas correct themselves if we reorder the measurement order? Great question. So not automatically. So if you reorder the measurement order and you have a new order in, or a new order in, or new report, sorry, a new report with different measurements. Currently what you would want to do, you would, with the current setup, and this is something on our list to address in the next 7 days. But currently with the current setup, you would need to generate a new quote for that. The existing quote is going to be tied to those previous structures in the previous report, and you can't currently change them. There is sort of a workaround. So what you could do actually is you can add a page and you could add a new structure. So you could replace the main home with a new structure page and then select the new report or the new structure from the report and then add that. And then this is a little bit of a painful process. You would have to drag out everything that's in this main home and put it into here, that's just really time consuming. So in the next 7 days, we'll find a way to accomplish this a lot more easily. Most likely what we're going to do is just allow you to pick to click a button here and pick a new structure for a new report structure or measurement structure for this quote page structure to be connected to. That's most likely how it's going to work. We will make it easy and it will get done in the next 7 days. As of right now, it's a little bit of a pain point if you are doing that. The easiest thing would probably be right now to just, if you do have a new report, I'll just say report 2. I'll add 2 structures to it. The easiest thing would probably just be to generate a new, so you can see it defaults to that new report 2, would just be to create a new quote, which is definitely a little bit painful, especially if you've already sent that to the homeowner. And then you're going to have to transfer over some customization and stuff. But like I said, next 7 days, we will have a better way of switching out structures. Okay. Oh, yeah. I got you, Daniel. Yeah, I switched it out and called you Huffy's phone. So, all right, good to have you. All right. So good there. I'm going to move on to the EagleView integration now, unless anyone has any more questions about multi-structure quoting. All right, we will move on. So as far as the EagleView, so as far as ordering the EagleView report, so you go in here. Now, this is something that we're aware of, that if you're depending on the size of your screen, you might not be able to scroll down and actually click the report button. You can zoom out and you'll be able to then click it. So that's the short-term workaround. Again, we will have this fixed tonight. So there's just a few little things that we missed with this launch that we're going back and fixing now. But just a little bit of a quirk there. But as of right now, this does still work. So first you're going to confirm the marker. So if the marker is good to go, then you don't have to touch it. But if the marker is incorrect, then you can actually just drag it. So you can just drag the marker here and change. Looks like it's a little slow since I'm on Zoom. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so I can just pick and choose a new location if the pin is incorrect. And then if I decide, oh, actually I was wrong, that pin location was right to begin with, you can just hit reset and it will just reset the whole thing. Then we can go down here to, I have to zoom out, to configure report, and I can select a report type. We offer a lot of different options at the moment. Pretty much everything that's in your account you'll have access to here. Not all of it is going to sync over into ProLine, but we'll go over that in a minute. And as far as like the mapping and syncing of data, but of course the most common ones here are going to be probably premium residential or bid perfect. We'll just do we'll do a big perfect here. Can do quick. Or we'll do a premium residential. We'll just do regular. Can do walls add-on, or we'll just not do any add-ons. Measurement instructions. So we have, yeah, we can choose here, do primary plus detached garage. We have all our options here. And then once that's selected, we can just hit submit order, and that's now going to create a EagleView report, and this will just take a second. So we can see that this is created, and the icon will be an EagleView icon. And this is going to be in progress. So this has been created, but that's going to get process over time with EagleView, and then this status will update, and it will eventually say complete once it's actually done. Now, as far as the mapping of the EagleView integration, it's just a very important step to get the EagleView integration to work correctly. So here on the integrations page, which can be reached through here, then integrations, then EagleView. In addition to enabling the integration, you're going to need to select which data goes to which measurement in your ProLine account. And this has not been automatically configured because everyone has different measurements or slightly different measurements. Everyone has customized their measurements. So we were not able to automatically do this for anybody. This is something that you're going to need to do for your account. What you're going to see on the left here is everything that we can currently get back from EagleView. There's a few items here that we are going to be adding, hopefully in the next 7 days. But like one of those is suggested waste factor. We want to get that added. But this is what we have at the moment. So you can choose the correct measurement for each one. So total area to area, we have ridges, valleys, eaves, rakes. Oh, there we go. Hips. And we don't have anything for wall area, so we can just leave that blank. But if you wanted to add a measurement for like total roof assets or siding area, you can add those now very easily as additional measurement fields for your ProLine account. And then you can map those here to the correct data. All righty. So I have another question here. If I were to rearrange the measurement line items, how you showed, would it automatically correct the formulas that are tied to each price line item? If a ridge cap references M1, but you move ridge total on the measurement tab to M2, would ridge cap and price list automatically adjust ridge cap to reference M2, or would you need to go into price list and rewrite the formula? So with the new setup, it would stay consistent. So if you change the order, what we did is we pulled over all the M values, and we're still going to have them be based on M values in general. But if you take what's currently M1 and you drag it to the second spot, that will now be, it will stay M1. It won't become M2. So now your list will go M2 and then M1. So you don't have to worry about any of that. So you can rearrange them as much as you want without having to worry about which M value goes with which one. The M value is tied. And just for additional context here, so everyone knows what we're talking about, here on the price list, the M values being the measurements here, the waste factor will always be M1, and there's no way for that to change. So as long as you have that measurement, it will always be M1. And if you add additional measurements, it will go, M12, M30, M75 based on how many measurements you have. And even if you delete measurements, we've made this a case as well. So if you add, say you add 100 measurements and then you delete one and then you add another one, the one you added will be M101, not M100. So there's no chance of any duplicate M values, and they don't change. They're static forever for that measurement. Okay. All right. I think that covers everything. I want to check. So yeah, so we can see here this EagleView report is now pending. And so that will just update over time. We did add, if we go to notifications, so we added a report updates notification. So if you want, maybe you already get this from EagleView and you don't need it from ProLine, but we also are trying to account for the fact that you're probably using a company EagleView account, and then you have individual sales reps in ProLine that are going to be ordering. And so those sales reps might not get notifications from EagleView. And so to solve that, we've added this report updates notification type, which allows your sales reps to opt in to get push notifications and or emails when the status of a report changes. So as it's going from created to pending to, I think it goes to processing. And then there's one for like needs info. And then there's complete once it gets returned. So each time it changes, a notification will get sent to the sales rep assigned to the project. So I'm trying to think anything else to cover. That pretty much covers it. Do you guys have any other questions I can answer? Here to assist. All right. I am going to stop us there. Oh, we do have a question. Question is, do you have plans to integrate something similar with Hover? Yes. We're really invested in making the EagleView integration awesome. That's sort of step one. But within the next, I'd say 30 to 60 days, we are planning on building out a number of other integrations. Hover is one that's gotten bounced around. We haven't sort of decided yet on the order that we're gonna prioritize them. I think that GAF Quick Measure will probably be the next one that we integrate with. As of right now, we're just getting a lot of requests for that, but Hover is one that we've heard several times. And I think this is a good time to look at the ideas.proline.app. So this page is actually accessible inside of ProLine if you go up and then go to ideas and roadmap. This really deserves its own pro school. So I might actually cover this next week, but might have covered it last week, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I can't remember what I did last week. But on this ideas page, we have ideas and we have roadmap. You can submit ideas. I think we already have an idea on here for Hover. Yeah, Hover integration. So if that's important to you, I would go here ASAP and vote this up. You can go here and just click the up arrow and it will add a vote. And I'll do a little vote for you. to help you out. So we have now 3 votes for hover. And then I think GIF quick measure is on here. GIF quick measure only has 1. I wonder why it only has 1. Definitely got a lot of requests for that. So, but we will most likely do both sometime in the next 30 to 60 days. Next question is, so I can adjust my measurement list now without having to change all of the calculations. I had secondary structure measurement set up, which is no longer needed due to being able to add structures. Yes. I think I was looking in your account the other day, Matt, when I think you reached out over the chat. Yes, you do not need that secondary structure measurement approach that you had. You'll be able to do that using the native structure functionality now. But also, if you delete adjust my measurement list down without change. Yes. Yep. That is correct. That is correct. So you will not, if you can delete a measurement, you can rearrange the measurement, you can add any number of additional measurements, and it will never change how your calculations, like your calculation references for like M1, M2, C1, C2 will never change. You never have to worry about that or like changing that again, unless you want to change what measurement it is pointed to, but those are now tied to the measurement itself, not the order like it was before. Before we had basically 75 fields. And so if you wanted to change the order, it would change the M value because M1 would refer to the first measurement field always, regardless of what the label was. Now that those M values are directly linked to the label. So waste factor, I mean, I can change it to something else, but I can drag waste factor all the way down and waste factor will still be M1. And so if I look here and go to, yeah, I'll just open anything here. So it will change the order. It will be down here, but it will still be M1. So yeah, that does not change. Another kind of little thing with this that we did is it's actually just to preserve data. Yeah, Matt. Matt saying had to redo them a couple times, didn't love it. Yeah, it was really hard with that that field system. So this is just part of our ongoing efforts to make this easier and easier because it's already measurements and calculations are already hard enough. So one fun thing here is it's actually not possible to fully delete a measurement ever. And that's to protect from accidental like deletion and then losing all the data in that field. So now like I can delete waste factor and it will go under this view deleted measurements. If I click on this, I can see I have waste factor down here and I can just click a button and restore it if I needed to. So that's why, like, if we'll say, so total area, this is M11 right now. So if I delete total area and then I'm going to add a new measurement, just call this test measure. And then we'll go into quotes and we'll see that test measure is M12. It is never, there will be no other measurement ever added to your account that is M11. That M11 is always going to be that total area, even if it's been deleted. And then if you ever decide, oh, actually, I didn't mean to delete that, you can just restore it and bring it back. Delete. And now we will forever have a test measure there in the deleted measurements. So, okay.